What's it like to be on the outside? We've all been there from time to time. We watch others with their lifetime total access go by us, and we're excluded. Most of us have had a moment in life where others have shut us out. It's hard to be on the wrong side of those big, burly, sunglass-wearing security guards that protect life's joys. The privileged few push past us and go on into the excitement, and we find ourselves as outsiders. It's lonely, depressing, and a big blow to our egos. Such was the fate of 4 outcasts at the gate of the ancient city of Samaria. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, "Why sit we here until we die? If we say we will enter the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come, and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall but die." 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 3, King James Version. Imagine a city shut up. Massive walls and iron-barred gates closed to all but those who can legally pass through. You're shut out. And why can't you go in? Some horrible, disfiguring disease, some freak of nature, some accident has made you a pariah, an outcast. You're a leper, and under the laws of your culture, you must not only stay far away from others, but inform them as they approach just why you must move away. "Unclean! Unclean!" is the mandatory cry that must come from your lips. Here you are at the capital of your nation, a city filled with starving people, a rebellious king, and one of the greatest prophets since Moses. But you're excluded. It has been years since this small hillside has been turned into the leading city of the 10 breakaway tribes of Israel. This northern kingdom has known idolatry, war, and now famine. Sitting outside the walls of the city are 4 disfigured men coming to a startling conclusion. They are dying. They're not the only ones dying. A whole city inside the gates is dying in a way that would make a good script for a modern horror film. Within the city, mothers are eating their children. Rotten, worthless food is going for a king's ransom, and dried bird excrement has become more valuable than currency. And where are you in this scenario? You're outside realizing that you will suffer the same fate as those in the city, even if somehow by a miracle of grace you are invited inside. And what is the cause of this food crisis? Your city is under siege. Your city has been surrounded by invaders that are set on conquest. Your leaders and their military brilliance have kept the enemy out. But your foe is content to let you starve, knowing that at some point you must surrender to the inevitable fate that has faced besieged cities throughout history. Human beings can only go so long without the necessities of life until their social structure unravels and their courage fades away like their ravished bodies. Your present predicament is no better. You're without food as well, and your chances of getting any are as slim as anyone in the city. So, what are your options? Sit and complain, or wait to die? There is another option. Go out to the camp of your enemy and throw yourself on their mercy. Any other alternative means certain, slow, and emaciating death. So, after some deliberation, these men set out on the journey of a lifetime, a journey that will take them into the unknown and bring life to a dying city. And they rose up in the twilight to go into the camp of the Syrians. 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 5, King James Version. How does one begin such an odyssey? One step at a time, they advance against their fears, hoping that some miracle will magically emerge once they reach their destination. Desperation sometimes brings us to that place where it's all or nothing. Many times it is nothing. This time, it would be all, with a big all. It would mean abundance for them and those wasting away in the city. You see, these men had another player in their game. A daring prophet who saw deliverance for a starving people and who wasn't afraid to declare it, even in the face of mockery and unbelief. His name was Elisha, a man whose name had become synonymous with miracles. During Elisha's lifetime, he would do twice as many miracles as his forerunner Elijah, leaving a legacy of power that even rested in his bones and raised the dead. He had declared a future wonder, famine one day and abundance the next. It was sure to happen. God had chosen this unlikely troop of rejects to be the catalyst for this marvel. And so, they set off on their walk of hope. What is equally as odd as their venture is the unlikely time they have chosen to begin it. Twilight. It's that mystifying time when light either fades to gray or darkness slowly releases its opaque grip on the night. It's that time when little is clear, even as things start to become clear. It's that time when the unknown is almost known, but still must be seen through the eyes of faith. It's out into this dim world that these four straggly specters begin their journey into history. They begin their expedition as a walk into another world. It's a lesson for many of us today, a reminder that sometimes the miracle we're looking for can only be found in that realm of the unknown. God has met people there from the time of Moses to the present day. He meets them in that realm, an unusual place that tests our faith. It's a strange zone where fear and hope meet. To borrow a phrase from 50s television, it's sort of a twilight zone. And if today we want to find the Lord God of Elisha, we must take a walk into that same twilight. The church in America has much in common with the four forlorn men at the gate of Samaria. More than any generation in recent memory, Christians are finding themselves on the outside. We have become a pariah to many in our culture. We are not only outcasts because of our faith, but also because of our lack of faith. Many of us say we believe, but our declarations have far outdistanced our behavior. The moral and ethical failures of our leaders and common members have left open sores on the body of the church as horrific as any leprosy. We have become easy pickings for the Richard Dawkins and a troop of atheists who stand in the corridors of the media and declare our faith unreasonable and our beliefs dangerous. We can pound on the gates of the secular city all day, and still they will remain shut. Why are we outsiders? It just seemed like the other day we were insiders. The head of the National Association of Evangelicals had access to the Oval Office, and right-wing religious leaders wield power in the corridors of Congress. But much has changed in the last decade, and for good reason. That access may come and go with the fickle winds of politics. However, it's obvious that the current arc of our culture is post-Christian. We can complain all day about the bias in the media, but much of what has humiliated us has been of our own doing. We have handed our enemies the fodder for their media cannons. Let's not forget that Jesus warned us about the danger of losing our salty savor. Is it possible that part of the reason we're being walked on is because we have lost our saltiness? Not only have brilliant men of letters become our antagonists, but television, movies, video games, and pop music are increasingly taking aim at a church that is hiding under its rags, starving at its core, and crying not to God, but to each other about our predicament. This must not be a day of sadness, but a day of hope. We have an amazing heritage as God's people. We have another player in this game, and his arsenal is immense, his gifts unlimited and powerful. We can speak with eloquence to this generation in a way that they've not heard before. We don't have to be an echo of the past, rather a voice, a prophetic voice. The twilight is that in-between place, somewhere between the clarity of waking and the mystery of dreams. It is a place where the supernatural meets the natural, where they both exist together in one harmonious moment. It is a place where we set aside the false certainties of materialism and risk encountering the God of the supernatural. Above all, it is the place we were intended to live, boldly hearing the voice of our God and confidently obeying His instructions. We must be willing to take a walk out into the unknown. God is waiting for us.